Breaking news. Worldwide News Channel is reporting for you today about this dramatic process in Russia. Elderly American in Russian courtroom, 72-year-old man accused of fighting for Ukraine. Moscow, October 7th, 2024. In a case that has gripped both Russia and the international community, a 72-year-old American citizen, Stephen James Hubbard, has been sentenced by a Russian court to 6 years and 10 months in prison. Hubbard, a native of Michigan, was found guilty of fighting as a mercenary for Ukrainian forces. The verdict was handed down in a highly secretive trial, leaving many questions unanswered and raising suspicions about the fairness of the proceedings. Hubbard, who has spent much of his life living abroad, was accused of joining Ukraine's territorial defense unit in the embattled eastern city of Izium, a region that has seen intense fighting since the war escalated between Russia and Ukraine. Investigators allege that Hubbard had been paid a monthly salary of $1,000 for his services, a claim that his family vigorously denies. This case adds yet another layer of complexity to the ongoing tensions between Russia and the West, especially regarding foreign nationals caught up in the Ukrainian conflict. The trial cloaked in secrecy, accusations of mercenary activity. Russian state media claims that Hubbard had been recruited into a Ukrainian defense unit in February 2022. The same month, Russian forces launched a full-scale invasion into Ukraine. According to prosecutors, he was supplied with weapons, ammunition, and training, making him a paid mercenary under Ukrainian command. On April 2nd, 2022, Russian soldiers detained Hubbard, reportedly catching him in the act of combat against Russian forces in the region. In the courtroom on Monday, Hubbard appeared frail, wearing a beige sweater and sitting in a glass cage, handcuffed. His weathered face revealed a life lived across continents far from his Michigan roots. As the judge read out the guilty verdict, Hubbard struggled to his feet, removing his hat to reveal a shaved head. The drama unfolded in almost complete silence as the elderly man listened to the harsh ruling. Despite reports from Russian media that Hubbard had pleaded guilty, his family is casting doubt on these claims, suggesting that the confession may have been coerced or fabricated altogether. His lawyer, maintaining a tight-lipped demeanor, offered no comment to the press, but is expected to appeal the ruling in the coming days. Family's defense: a man misunderstood. For Hubbard's family, the verdict comes as a devastating blow. His sister, Patricia Hubbard Fox, and another relative gave a deeply contrasting narrative of the man now facing almost 7 years in a Russian prison. They described Stephen Hubbard as anything but a soldier. In fact, they claim he held pro-Russian views and was deeply unlikely to have picked up arms, especially given his advanced age. Fox pointed out that Hubbard had lived in Ukraine since 2014, following his move from Japan, where he had taught English. A quiet, unassuming man, Hubbard reportedly lived on a modest pension of just $300 a month and had few, if any, meaningful connections in Ukraine. What's more, he never learned Ukrainian or Russian, making it even more implausible that he would be involved in combat, his family argues. His relatives portray him as an isolated figure who had drifted from some members of his family, his years spent abroad, leaving him estranged from loved ones. His motivations for staying in Ukraine remain unclear, but according to his family, it's highly unlikely that he had turned into a soldier for hire. A web of detained Americans, Hubbard one of many. The sentencing of Stephen Hubbard is part of a growing list of at least 10 American citizens currently imprisoned in Russia. This comes just months after a high-profile prisoner swap on August 1st, 2024, in which Russia and Western nations exchanged several prisoners, freeing 3 Americans, among others. However, it seems this swap has done little to ease the tensions, with more U.S. citizens finding themselves entangled in Russia's judicial system. In a separate incident also unfolding on Monday, Robert Gilman, a former U.S. Marine, was sentenced to 7 years and 1 month in prison. He had been accused of assaulting a Russian prison officer and a state investigator while serving time for a previous assault charge. With two prominent Americans facing Russian imprisonment in a single day, Jewish-Russian relations remain fraught with difficulty. Where is the U.S. government? The U.S. Embassy in Moscow has acknowledged Hubbard's detention, but, in keeping with recent patterns, offered little beyond standard remarks. A spokesperson confirmed that they were aware of an American citizen being sentenced, but declined to give further details. This leaves many unanswered questions. How did Hubbard, a man in his 70s with no reported military background, become embroiled in a conflict of such global magnitude? Was his confession forced, and is he truly guilty of the charges leveled against him? Adding to the mystery, the Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has not responded to repeated inquiries from the media, including messages from Reuters about Hubbard's supposed role in Ukraine's territorial defense. No further clarity has emerged about the circumstances of his arrest or the veracity of the claims made by Russian authorities. What's next? Breaking news. Worldwide News Channel. Dramatic sentence for elderly American in Russian courtroom. 72-year-old man accused of fighting for Ukraine. Moscow, October 7th, 2024. In a case that has gripped both Russia and the international community, a 72-year-old American citizen, Stephen James Hubbard, has been sentenced by a Russian court to 6 years and 10 months in prison. Hubbard, a native of Michigan, was found guilty of fighting as a mercenary for Ukrainian forces. The verdict was handed down in a highly secretive trial, leaving many questions unanswered and raising suspicions about the fairness of the proceedings. Hubbard, who has spent much of his life living abroad, was accused of joining Ukraine's territorial defense unit in the embattled eastern city of Izyum region that has seen intense fighting since the war escalated between Russia and Ukraine. Investigators allege that Hubbard had been paid a monthly salary of $1,000 for his services, a claim that his family vigor. With the war in Ukraine showing no sign of abating and Russia tightening its grip on anyone it deems a foreign threat, Hubbard's case underscores the perilous situation for Western nationals caught up in the geopolitical clash. Is Stephen Hubbard truly a mercenary, or is he another victim of a politically charged war? This question lingers as the world watches, waiting for a clearer answer. Stay tuned to Worldwide News Channel as we continue to bring you updates on this dramatic and fast-developing story. What will happen next for the 72-year-old American? If you want to know the whole story, smash the subscribe button to not miss any news about this and many more coming topics. Thank you for watching. Your Worldwide News Channel team.